Gran Turismo 7 has just released a Spec III update along with a new DLC called the Power Pack. And in this video, I will break down what they include, highlight the most important parts of the update, and give you a clear idea on what to expect from this DLC. I will keep this overview fairly brief because covering everything in detail would take a very long time. And one of the areas that received noticeable improvements is the overall content. We now have 2 new tracks and 8 new cars, and I would really like to begin with the tracks that were added into the game. The first one is Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, where I also had the chance to drive a real car, which was actually a pretty amazing experience. The visual work is incredible. The lighting, the atmosphere, and day-to-night transition all look incredibly good. You can race at daylight or in the night, which just adds a little bit more depth to the experience because the transition feels smooth and very natural. Racing here is not easy. You have to plan your overtakes very carefully, although the conditions in, let's say, the races that I've done played a huge role. I tested a few races here with a real slipstream, and getting yourself in a position to overtake is quite tough, especially in GT3 cars, actually the Ferrari GT3. It took me some time to finally understand the lines and how the track flows, and I'm not at this point where I know exactly the ideal braking points and perfect approach for an amazing lap time, but the track is very beautiful and very enjoyable to drive. I also jumped into the circuit experience, and this feels quite different with the new Ferrari because there is no BOP and the car is extremely fast. So you need to pay close attention to how you apply the power because the car can spin quite easily. And yeah, it does spin a lot. Even so, getting gold did not really take that long. It's fairly easy in my opinion because of the track limits. You simply need to cut the corners more than you expect. Even though when I was on the edge, there was even more room to be found. I got the gold without really spinning or even getting the proper racing line, and then I realized that entire hour passed and I still hadn't touched the rest of the content. So I moved to the next track, which is Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Overall, I jumped straight into the circuit experience just like I did with the previous track, and quickly realized that there were so many details that I need to pay attention to. The way that you can cut certain corners, the way you need to manage the power in these incredibly strong cars, and all of that took some time to understand. I had to put everything into perspective and really focus on getting it right, which was not easy. And after a while, it was still not too difficult to get the gold, but I just wanted to learn the lines properly before jumping into the race. And I think I got a good idea of them. And once I felt ready, I moved into the race and had some pretty amazing moments there. I expected plenty of action on this track and a lot of interesting battles, and that's exactly what happened. The final chicane is actually quite tricky to get right. I even picked up a few penalties while trying to figure it out. And when I opened the lobby, I had amazing battles, and it all came down to car positioning and understanding how this track flows. You have to plan ahead, like a couple of corners ahead, instead of just going for kind of a desperate dive bomb, even though I think we will see a lot of those in the future, especially in the lobbies. But hopefully we'll be able to avoid those incidents going into the future. And hopefully we'll be able to just get a couple of clean races eventually once this track shows up in daily races. And after that, I spent most of my time driving the Ferrari GT3, and it is such an amazing addition to the game, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And one thing that I noticed is, which I'm pretty sure that it's a bug which will be fixed, is that when you turn your wheel past 90 degrees, the in-car wheel does not rotate any further, even though the wheels of the car do. And that definitely should not be the case, and I expect this to be fixed in the next update. Aside from that, the handling is amazing. The car just feels great to drive, responsive, and really enjoyable. And to be fair, I spent most of my day driving that car. And after that, I just wanted to check out the rest of the cars that were added. And one of them gives you the chance to win a VIP ticket for the World Series event in Fukuoka. And you can try it right now. The new Polestar is an electric car, and in my opinion, it's actually quite challenging to drive. It just feels a little bit heavier than what I expected. And during my couple of laps with this car, it felt fine. But you can still notice that it's an electric car. It behaves differently from most of the cars that I'm used to, but I would say that it's actually a nice addition to the game. So if you're interested, you can jump into the online time trial and see how it handles. And of course, if you set the fastest lap time in the world, you will earn yourself a VIP ticket for the World Series. And another very interesting time trial that we have right now is the new Yas Marina layout with the Renault Espace F1. This is something completely different. I did not expect to see this car in the game, but here it is. I gave it a few laps, and this thing is a beast. The sound alone is just worth mentioning. It's loud, aggressive, and honestly one of the coolest surprises in this update. The driving experience is pretty wild. The handling, it's not great, but it's also not bad. But it's something that I did not expect. But overall, it's basically a box with an F1 engine. So it just feels special, and I definitely recommend trying it. And I also gave the other cars a try, even though not as much as I would have liked. There's plenty of room to explore these new additions, and I just have to say that the update brings a huge amount of content, and it's almost impossible to test everything right away. We even got some iconic machines like the Fiat Panda and the fictional Formula car. The Gran Turismo F3500B. It's, in my opinion, a great addition, and both of these cars really bring their own charm into the lineup. And I think it will take some time to fully explore what these cars can do and understand the kind of experiences they offer. And right now, the most important thing for competitive players is the new data logger. It's essentially a telemetry tool to help you find time. So if you're not sure where exactly you're losing time to the fastest drivers in the world, you can now check it with complete accuracy and see how your lap develops from corner to corner. If you're losing time in any specific part of the track, you can see exactly where the car is positioned, the precise turning point, how much braking pressure was applied, and when it was applied, and also if it was applied. It gives you a clear idea on how to improve and which areas need attention. I even analyzed my own lap time and noticed that even though it was a really good lap, there is definitely more potential in it, and I quickly found some spots where I was losing time. And this tool can dramatically reduce the time it takes to understand what you need to change in order to bring your lap times down. So if you are competitive and want to become a faster driver, this is a fantastic feature that shows exactly what needs to be done. And another really interesting feature is something that probably slipped under the radar is the introduction of the full force effect for Fanatec wheelbases that's supported. To explain it quickly, it just adds an extra layer of information on top of the regular force feedback you already get from the game. Now you can feel even more detail, like for example, when the tires start to lose grip, when the car begins to slide, or even when the engine reaches certain RPM points. I noticed this especially during restarts, and if I set my revs too high, I could instantly feel those small vibrations through the wheel. But I think I do have to highlight this. Personally, I prefer to keep these settings as low as possible so they really don't interfere with the usual feedback of the wheel. It can enhance the feeling of losing control, but you don't want the effect to become too distracting, at least in my opinion. So overall, there are plenty of other changes to the sport mode. Multiplayer has been updated, and those small icons that you see on the screen have been refreshed. You can finally see lap times directly in the UI while driving, which is a great quality of life improvement. There were some visual updates as well, and most of the multiplayer changes focused on lobbies. And I was really hoping for something new, especially for the sport mode, but it didn't happen. Maybe in the future. For now, we will just have to work with what we have. The collector level now goes up to 70, which kind of made a difference for me, but it really didn't. Since I already owned most of the cars in this game, I mean, it only took a few clicks to jump from 50 to 70, and that was quite quick and easy. So now we also have new cafe menus, new scapes, more engine swaps, and one of the most interesting surprises, the Nürburgring Endurance 2, which is basically Nordschleife in reverse. And this is something that I definitely did not expect at all. I'm not sure why it was added, but I believe this is going to be quite an interesting challenge. I know the corners well, but not really in reverse. So trying to piece them together, will definitely be interesting, but it's only available in the time trial. But you know what, I'm looking to give it a try just to see what kind of lap time can I do. It feels strange and satisfying at the same time. So it's, you definitely need to try it. Now, one of the most important additions is the new Power Pack DLC. And I was not sure what to expect or how it would even be structured, but it offers 50 challenges that you need to complete. Each group of challenges places you in the race where you can choose one of 3 cars, depending on how difficult you want the event to be. You can take the fastest car and beat the AI without too much trouble. But usually I chose the slowest option because it gives better rewards. And I quickly realized that this was not going to be easy. Definitely not easy. The AI is genuinely quick, and finishing these challenges is harder than I expected. I skipped practice and the qualifying and still somehow managed to win some of the races. But then, when I tried a different challenge at the Nordschleife, I finished just about 30 seconds behind the lead because I skipped practice and qualifying, which is not a good idea. So, I'm not a world champion myself, but I really do not consider myself a slow driver. So, I believe for some of the players, this might actually be a challenge to get done. So, if you're starting out, choose the fastest car or just the middle option. And if you go with the slowest one, which pays the most, you will definitely need to push to the absolute limit to complete the challenge. And I do have to say that the AI feels different than usual. They are aggressive, they do give space, but their lines often make really no sense. In some of the corners they're extremely quick, and in some of the corners they're like incredibly slow. So they're not really using the true racing lines all the time, and sometimes they lose half of the second per corner because they're just not using the proper line. So overall, I do have to say that some of the previous versions of the Sophie were unbeatable, almost unbeatable. And I think this is just a little step below, maybe even intentionally done. So with 50 challenges overall and the possibility of future 24-hour races, I'm not even sure if they're included in this because no one, I believe, unlocked them yet. I still need to figure out if this is actually worth 30 euros or 25 pounds as it stands right now. But for now, I can say that I did enjoy it, and it has been really a long time since I enjoyed single-player content. So, let me know what you think, and if you think actually this update was a success or not. And potentially, you can drop a like on this video, or you can potentially even subscribe. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.